All right, so how to create a high converting pop-up form. So this is going to be a module of my free e-commerce email marketing course that I'm going to put together for my YouTube channel. So here's our agenda today. First of all, we're going to cover the big problem e-com brands are facing in 2025. Then we're going to talk about why pop-up form is literally one of the most important parts of your entire funnel for your entire e-commerce business, right? Then we're going to talk about 7 common mistakes people make with pop-up forms. Then I'm going to show you some great examples. And then in the end, I'm going to show you exactly how to make one pop-up form inside of Klaviyo as a complete beginner, completely from scratch. Even if you have never used Klaviyo before in your entire life, I'm going to show you how to do it. So here's a little bit about me. The big problem e-com brands are facing in 2025. By the way, this document is going to be linked down below in the description, so you can just take it. No need to give me your email or anything like that. I'm just going to link you the document. You can just open it up just like I'm doing right now. Take a look at what you need to do and do it, right? So basically, ad costs are going up and up and up day by day. So it's going to get more and more expensive to advertise on Meta and Google and whatever you're advertising. So that means that your margins are getting thinner and thinner if you rely on paid ads as your conversion mechanism. So that also means that since you have less profit, you have less money to reinvest into your growth, which means that you're kind of like stagnant, you can't really grow, and you are getting beaten by your competition. So this table here represents a comparison of the months for the past couple of years, for the past 3 years, where we can compare the ad costs over the, as I said, last couple of years. So first of all, let's take a look at January 2025. So we can see Meta average CPM was $8.27. Then if we take a look at January 2024, 6.5. January 2023, 6.21. So you can see this is a $2 difference. This is a massive difference. This is literally make it or break it for your business. So if you still rely on ads, first of all, let's take a look at December 2024, for example, 10.83. December 2023, 7.61. December 2022, 7.41. This is $3.50 difference, literally $3.50. This is literally going to get you out of business if you don't do something about this, right? So besides the fact that you're less profitable, we already covered that. When you make a sale, there's also something called trust threshold. Basically, people are way more skeptical than ever. So it takes a lot of time to convert people, to convince them to buy something from you, because everyone has been burned before online. Everyone has bought something and it arrived broken, or it never arrived, or it arrived and it was really shit. It was not nearly as close as good as it was advertised. So it's kind of like people are way more skeptical, way more cautious when buying stuff online. So what you need to do is you need to find a way to overcome the trust threshold. And the best way to do that is to actually leverage familiarity bias. So this is how Google defines familiarity bias. Familiarity bias is when people tend to favor things that are familiar to them while showing less interest in things that are unfamiliar. So familiarity bias says that people tend to prefer familiar things over unfamiliar ones. So for example, I know you and I don't know the other guy, so I'm going to prefer you over the other guy, even if I don't know, even if there's no objective evidence that you're, for example, a better person than the other guy, right? That's basically what familiarity bias is. So that means that all you need to do is become familiar to your customers. And how do you do that? Well, we're lucky in this instance because we as humans are not very logical, right? So the only thing you need to do is just become familiar to your customers through sheer exposure. So what it means is it basically means that you need to be in front of people's faces all the time. The more times people see you, your customers see you, they're going to get more and more familiar with you, and they're going to trust you more, like you more, and they're going to eventually buy. Now, the problem presents itself again. The problem is the fact that, as we already talked about, right? Ads are expensive, so you can't really pay for that many ads for people to see you 6, 7, 8 times in a row or on their homepage or whatever, on the Facebook, Instagram, whatever. So it's kind of like too expensive, so you can't really afford to overcome the trust threshold that way. So how are you going to do that? Well, the way you're going to do that is through email marketing, because email marketing is the cheapest marketing channel on earth for e-commerce brands. I think it's literally cheaper than building your personal brand, because even that requires editors, requires camera and stuff like that. It requires your time. This is literally the cheapest marketing channel on earth when it comes to like direct response stuff, at least. But as I said, we could probably even compare it to like having a personal brand. Anyway, that means that like it has an average ROI of 44x. That means that for every dollar you put in, you get 44 out. So it's literally like a money printing machine. It is, right? If done correctly. So I'm going to show you how to do it correctly. Now, this is not to say that paid ads are bad and that you should just turn them off and just do email. This is actually, we're actually talking about different stages of the funnel. That's what people don't understand. Most brands rely heavily on paid ads for their conversion mechanism. They rely on getting people to see their ad, click on the ad, get to their website, and then buy. That is how you lose, okay? Because I don't know if you know, like, I think Dan Kennedy, one of the marketing legends, said that, like, whoever can spend the most to acquire the customer wins. So if you can't really spend that much on ads because you're going to run out of the budget, right? Unless you have some investor that are, like, giving you unlimited money. So what you need to do instead is you need to rely on the cheapest marketing channel that is going to allow you to spend a lot of money on marketing, right? On email marketing, because it's cheap. So that's how you win. That's how you beat your competition. So basically, you shouldn't be relying on paid ads for conversions. Look at them mainly as a way to get attention. Your ads are they're just there to get people to come to your website. Once they come to your website, then it's a different game. Then we're talking about email marketing, because you will focus on converting people in the back end using email, right? Instead of focusing on converting people using ads. Obviously, that is not to say that your ads are not going to bring any sales, because they are, right? Because obviously, if you have 100 people coming to your website, 20 of them, obviously, it's not going to be 20% conversion rate. It's going to be more like 2 or 3. But just for the sake of this illustration, 20 of them are going to buy no matter what you say, because they are in deep pain. They really need to solve the problem they have. So whatever you say, no matter how shit your product is, how shit your website is, how shit your ad is, they're just going to buy, right? Or some of them are just bored and they're just too rich. They have too much money. Some of them are like not really risk averse. They're like really prone to taking risks. So they're going to buy again. So those are like the 20 people, but they're going to buy no matter what you say. They're going to buy from your competitors the same way they buy from you. What you need to do instead to beat your competition, to not run out of your business, to keep growing your business, to keep scaling, you need to find a way to convert the bottom 80%, the bottom 80 people, right? So that's where you actually see the winners. That's the difference between a winning business and a losing business. The winning business is going to convert all of the people. Obviously, not all of the people. That's just like an illustration, obviously, but you get what I mean. They're going to convert even the 20 people, the bottom 20 people that will never buy. They will do some Wolf of Wall Street stuff, right? And manage to convert them, right? Sell me this pen and stuff like that. So that's what you need to find a way to do. And the way to do it is just through more content. And you can't really, as we already talked about, you can't really do that much content with ads because they're expensive, but you can do a lot of content with email, SMS, and stuff like that, right? We're going to talk about email mainly in this video. So, not only it's easy to get people to buy for the first time with email, but it's also easy to get them to buy. It's even easier actually to get them to buy for the second, third, fourth, and so on. And that way you're increasing your customers' lifetime value, which is going to make your business way more stable, way more healthy, and way more valuable and attractive to investors and people who actually want to buy it or stuff like that. If you want to sell it in the future, it's going to look way healthier, way more attractive to potential investors or people who want to buy. So if you have a strong email marketing system in place, you have a customer for life, because you can always just blast your list and someone is going to buy. A lot of people are going to buy because they already know, like, and trust you, because they're on your email list, and most of them have already bought something from you. Now, why pop-up form is one of the most important parts of your marketing funnel. Basically, pop-up forms are so underrated. No one is talking about pop-up forms. Everyone wants to talk about emails, actual emails, how we want to do the design, copy, fancy copy, some direct response, tips and tricks and stuff like that, some fancy stuff. No one actually talks about pop-up forms. They do talk about them, but they do not talk about them enough, right? So, first of all, I hope we now agree that email marketing is a very important and cheap marketing channel and that you shouldn't neglect it. Well, not that you shouldn't neglect it, that we already agreed that you should actually put not all of your attention, but a lot of your attention into making it as good as possible. Whether you want to hire someone, outsource it to an agency like us, for example, or you actually want to do it in-house, whatever you want to do it yourself, if you're like a smaller brand, up to you, but you need to do it. So let's now talk about how to use it. Basically, if your house doesn't have a door, you can't enter it, right? Do you agree with that statement? You do. So if your email marketing doesn't have a door, which is your pop-up form, no one can enter your email marketing funnel, right? No one can enter your list. So what you need to do is, first of all, have some sort of a door. If you don't have pop-up form in your website right now, you need to have it, you need to develop it like urgently, right? But also you need to make the door as big, as attractive, as beautiful as possible to attract as many people and get them to enter your house, or in this case, your email list. So what it means is you need to find a way to design a high converting pop-up form that is going to convert like at least 8%, but more like 10% of people who visit your website. So because the more people sign up, the more people you'll have on your list to send emails to. And the more people you send emails to, the more people will buy. The more people buy, the more revenue, the more money for you, right? So most people neglect this part and focus on the actual emails, as I said. But when you think about it, it doesn't make any sense, because if you don't have a pop-up form and if you don't have anyone on the list, the emails you send does not really matter if you don't really have anyone to send those emails to. This is like if we take to the logical extreme. If you don't have anyone on the list, if you have 0 people, which is not going to be the case for 99.9% of you guys watching this, unless you're just starting your brand, right? But for most of you guys with established brands, you're going to have someone on your list. But if we take it to the logical extreme, if you don't have anyone on the list, right? We have 0 people, the emails itself does not matter, right? Because no one is going to receive it. So that's why it's important to have a high converting pop-up form, because that's how you're going to grow your list and get more people to send emails to. So, pop-up form in your funnel. The reason why your pop-up form is important in your funnel is because you're paying for the ads already, but only a handful of people buy. What happens to the rest of them? What happens to the 80 people who don't buy? Again, just illustration. Obviously, your conversion rate is not 20%. That would be crazy, right? But what they do is they just leave the website. They never come back, and you just lost those people. When you can do like retarget ads, but we already talked about how that is expensive and all that. So, what you need to do instead is, as we already talked about, you have a high converting pop-up form. You capture 8% at least, but ideally 10% or more. That's how I define a high converting pop-up form. It converts at least 8% of website traffic. So you'll be able to capture them and get them on your list, and then you can start indoctrinating them with your content, start making them know, like, and trust you through your emails for almost free, literally. Like, the only cost you have with email marketing is just like your software that you're using, for example, Klaviyo, and whoever you have to pay for it to do it for you. So that would be like, if you have a team in-house or an agency and stuff like that, that's the only cost you have. And the potential upside is limitless, because it's a really high leverage thing. Like, it doesn't really matter if you have 1,000 people on your list or 100,000 people on your list or 1 million people on your list. It's the same thing. People are just going to, like your team or us, if we hire us or whatever, an agency, you're just going to press send, and all the people are going to receive the email, right? So what I'm trying to say is that there's no ad spend with email marketing, so it's really cheap, so you can send content for almost free, so you can that way cross the trust threshold. Now, 7 common mistakes. Let's talk about that. That is really important. Now, Common mistake number one, probably the biggest mistake is having a bad offer. So let's take a look at this example that I picked out for you. Now, this example, this pop-up form, as if you look closely at it, is actually from Dolce & Gabbana. So this is not some random brand that I picked out. I created this pop-up form for the sake of this video. This is actually a pop-up form of Dolce & Gabbana. So what you can see here is their offer is subscribe to the newsletter. First of all, you can see that this pop-up form looks horrible, right? It's just like probably the template they took from who knows where and they just put it there and like whatever. Now, obviously they can get away with it because there's so much demand for their products, like also like scarcity, obviously artificial and stuff like that, product drops, all of that stuff. So they can get away with stuff like this. And obviously they're not really going to give discounts and offers because they're a luxury brand. But for your brand, for some sort of an average e-com brand is not a luxury brand with high demand because of product drops and stuff like that, where people are actually, that's mostly going to happen in fashion, where people are actually sitting there in front of the store and waiting for the products and stuff like that. This is not going to work. This is not going to convert anyone, right? So obviously there's so many things that are wrong with this pop-up form, but we're going to talk about bad offer first. So if 2025, 2026 is behind the corner, you can't really just come there and be like, subscribe to the newsletter. You can't do that. People actually want a reason to give you their email, to give you their phone number, whatever. Why? Because there's so many other brands that are actually giving them an incentive. So you're not very different. You actually have a worse positioning, a worse offer, right? So what you need to do instead of saying subscribe to the newsletter or join our list to hear about latest updates in news and stuff like that, all the crap we're all sick and tired of, what you need to do instead is give some sort of an offer. What do I mean by an offer? I mean like discounts, free shipping, free gifts, guides, digital products, stuff like that. Right. Now, when I say digital products, guys, a lot of you guys who are kind of like afraid of giving a discount, they're going to be like, oh yeah, he said a digital product, so I'm going to put together some shitty PDF and give it on my pop form and everyone's going to take it and it's going to be amazing, like stuff like that. In most cases, this doesn't work. If you're scared of giving away a discount, I just advise you just rip off the band-aid, give like 10% off at least. I wouldn't go below 10% off. And even if you're like, oh, we can't afford it, you can afford it. Why can you afford it? Yeah, you're going to lose some margin in the first sale, but you're just going to make it up for like based on all the other sales that you're going to make in the future. Because you don't sell, when you have email marketing, right? We already discussed this. You don't have to sell it you don't have to sell to the person only once, right? You're going to sell to them for the second time, third time, fourth time. Like you're going to sell to them over and over again. So in the end, all the money you make is going to outweigh the margin you lost by giving away a discount. So that's why I advise you give a discount. Give at least 10%. Honestly, go for 15%, 20% if you can. At least 10% is going to be good for you. Anyway, you can do like % off. You can do dollars off. So that's something you would like to do if you have an average order value over $100. So for example, you have a $200 average order value and you say you want to give 15% off. So you can give 15% off, which is $30 of those $200, or you can say $30 off. Why is that better? Well, obviously 30 is a bigger number than 15. So it's going to look kind of like more appealing, even though it's the same thing. So that's something you probably want to test for your pop-up form, whether it works better to give 10% off or $20 off, whatever, up to you. So that's what I would advise you to do. Go for a discount, rip off the band-aid, try it out. It's going to be worth it in the long run. Don't be afraid of giving a discount. It's not going to hurt your business. It's going to actually help you. But even if you really, really, really can't afford it, but I think you can, go for something like free shipping, free gift, whatever. Too much work. So another problem with this pop-up is the fact that it requires you to fill out too many fields in order to sign up. So you can see here, your email address, woman or man, language. Like this is just too much work for the customer. No one is actually going to sit here and fill this out like it's some sort of a survey or whatever, and also they don't have an offer. So there's literally no incentive for people to do it. Obviously, people are probably still doing it because it's Dolce and they have a strong brand, right? But if you were to do this for some sort of average brand, whatever, that does not have a brand like Dolce, you wouldn't be able to pull this off. Probably no one would sign up for your brand, right? So the more work your customer has to do, the less likely he is to sign up. It's that simple. So the way to do it is to ask for email only on the first step, then phone number, and that's it. You're not asking for first name. You're not asking for their gender, for their language, country, anything like that. You're just asking for the email and you're asking for the phone number if you're doing SMS marketing. If you're not doing SMS marketing, you're just asking for their email. That's it, right? Now, size. I see a lot of people have really small forms on their websites, and I just wonder why. Literally, why? Well, why would you make it harder for the customer to give you their email? Because that's literally what you're doing. Like, think about it. Filling out, what is easier? Like filling out a nice big pop-up form with like nice colors and all of that. It's like big in your face. It has a big button, big offer, big input field. Or filling out a small pop-up form that you have to use like magnifying glass for and you can't read it and you can't really click the input field properly and whatever. What do you think is easier? Like obviously the first option. So why would you make your pop-up form smaller? Like, okay, sure, maybe you don't want to make like a full page pop-up form. Fine. But just make it like big enough so people can see it both from mobile and desktop. It's working properly. People don't have to squint to read your offer and whatever. It's like nice, big, in your face. It's very easy to read, very easy to enter your email, very easy to click a button, everything, right? So don't be afraid of making big. It can only help. It can really detriment you. So don't be afraid of that. Then the next thing, time delay. So you need to find a sweet spot for the time delay. Basically, that means like after how many seconds of how many minutes, if you're crazy, your pop-up form shows up. So it can be immediately. It can be like someone entered your website and then after 1 second it shows up, because people did not have enough time to judge whether they want to give you their email or not, right? But it also can be after 30 seconds, let's say, because after 30 seconds, the majority of traffic that came to your website has already left. So I find that the sweet spot is between 4 seconds and 12 seconds, but you need to test it out. I can give you, do like 5.5 seconds. You need to test it out for your brand because it's going to be different for every single brand. For your brand, it might be like 16 seconds. I don't know. But for most brands, for 99%, it's going to be like between 4 and 12. But that's going to be like the A/B test you're going to run. You're going to test 4 versus 6, 6 versus 8, and so on and so forth. So the next mistake that I see is top right X is visible. Now, this is some sort of an advanced tactic that I'm going to teach you that you can apply. It's going to beat your competition by a lot, right? You're going to outshine them when you apply this. Okay, I'm kidding. It's not going to be such a big thing, but it is going to add, like, the thing is, this is like death by 1,000 cuts. It's not going to be like you change one thing and all of a sudden your pop-up form converts 5 times as much. It's more about you change this one variable, and this one, and this one, and this one. And by all of those changes, you get your pop-up form to convert twice as better, 3 times as better, right? So that's the idea. We're just making the little simple changes that are going to give you 1% more, 0.5, 0.2, a little bit, and then at some point before you know it, you're at like 10%. So top right X is visible. It's 1.5, and people have already developed a reflex of closing the pop-up form. So you're on your phone, sitting there, or on some website, pop-up form shows up. Immediately, without even thinking, it's not like a conscious thought, it's like unconscious. You reach for the top right corner with your thumb, you close the pop-up form, that's it. You do not even have the time to actually read the offer, consider the offer, do you actually want $10 off, 25% off, whatever. You just close it, and boom, it's done. So as I said, as soon as it loads, people reach for the top right corner, click the X without even thinking about it. So if you remove the X and add a button for closing the form under the CTA instead, you literally double the conversion rate. I'm going to show you the exact example what I mean by this in a second, right? Don't worry. Or you'll at least get people to pay attention to your offer. So even if someone does not want your offer, when there is no X in the top right corner, they can't close it immediately. They'll at least stop, read the offer, think about it consciously, and then they can decide like whether they want 20% off or not, right? So the way you do it is by making the X transparent. I'm going to show you how to do it inside of Klaviyo. Don't worry. So next problem, too much copy. There's too much going on here. You can see, subscribe and enjoy 10% off. Join our email list and be the first to know about exciting sales, the best in books, gifting, and more. Plus, get 10% off your next purchase online over. This is too boring. There's too much copy. There's too much going on. No one is actually going to read all of this because if you know, like, do you agree? No one is going to read all of this, right? So if you know that no one is going to read it, why put it there? Why would you make it harder for the customer? Why would you make it more overwhelming? There is no need to do stuff like that. So all you need is your offer, this, the input field, this, and the CTA, this. That's it. Like, no need to include all of this copy, especially because this copy doesn't mean anything. All of this stuff is implied. Join our email list and be the first to know about exciting sales. Obviously, that's why you have an email list, right? So there is literally no need to include all of this copy because you and I, we both know that no one is actually going to read it. So this is literally a waste of space and it's just making it look way more overwhelming than it actually is because all it is just like, give me your email, I'll give you 10% off. So there's literally no need for this stuff. Unclear offer. So look at this pop form. It actually looks pretty nice, right? Branding, colors, aesthetically, it's nice. But can you tell me what their offer is at a first glance? You can't, right? So it's not good. It's actually a bad pop form. So if you look closely, you'll see that they're actually giving $150 off, but it's literally the smallest text on the entire pop form. You can see here, logo, headline, subheadline, all of this stuff, CTA, close the form, X, everything is bigger than the actual offer. So join the community, be the first to hear remarkable stories and see diamond inspiration is way more important, according to these guys, than enjoy $150 to your next diamond. Plus, enjoy 100. It's like, yeah, plus this menial thing. But yeah, what you're actually interested in is joining our community. No one cares about joining your community. Like, it's not about your community. It's not a bad community, right? But it's about the fact that people don't want to give you their email just for exchange of joining the community. But people want to give you their email to save $150, right? So they have a strong offer, but it's literally stupid because it's so small. The most important thing is written in the smallest tag. It doesn't make any sense. So instead, you should put your offer in the headline. Instead of join the community, it should be like, get $150 off, make it big and obvious, and then remove everything else that doesn't matter. Like this. Be the first to hear remarkable stories. No one cares about remarkable stories, and no one wants to see diamond inspiration. They want to do it, but they don't want to give you their email. They certainly don't want to read this subheadline and waste their time, right? So, great examples. Let me show you that. So, this step here, so we have a 3-step pop form here. So this step, the first step, is you can see does not have an input field. So you can see like you got €10 off, claim €10 off, no thanks. By the way, this is the button I told you about. You remove the X. Now in this case, they moved it to the left corner. This is something you test as well. That's something we do for our clients as well. We run those tests like X in the top left corner versus X in the top right corner. That's a pretty good practice because people are used to seeing the X in the top right corner. Then when you put it in the left corner, you kind of have the same effect where it's kind of like, stop, read the offer. Okay, then we can close it if we don't want it. If we want it, we can go for it, right? But yeah, this is what I told you about. You remove the X. In this instance, they did not do it, but they could do it. And then you add this button here, no thanks. If you want to be more aggressive, you can be like this button here, close the form, right? If you want to be more aggressive, you can be like, no thanks, I'll pay it full price. That's what I like to do. That's pretty good because it's kind of like, it makes people stupid saying no. That I don't know if you know Alex Hormozi, but one of his sayings from his $100 million offers book, one of the greatest books, read that book 100%. Great knowledge. Anyway, one of his sayings is like, make an offer so good, people feel stupid saying no. So the way you do it is like, you are highlighting the upside here, and then you're highlighting the downside here. So you got $20 off, And then it's kind of like, this is the upside. And then the downside is like, no thanks, I'll pay it full price. It's kind of like, downside is like, you're going to feel stupid because you did not take the offer. That's the idea. So that's what you can do. If you're kind of like afraid of doing that, afraid of insulting your customers, you're not insulting them, right? You're actually helping them get a discount and get your product at a better price. Sounds like a pretty good thing to me. But if you're like that kind of person, that's fine. You can do just no thanks. Absolutely fine. Anyway, this step here, the first step, is called micro commit step. So the idea is basically that you get people to make a commitment to themselves that they actually want this discount. Since people like to be seen as consistent, they're more likely to enter their email in the next step, right? Because they made commitment to themselves that they want a discount. So all they need to do here to claim 10 euros off is to click this button, claim 10 euros off. It doesn't seem like a big deal. It's not a big commitment. It's just like a small step. Just click the button, whatever, and boom, they made a commitment. So you need to test whether this works better for your brand. But in most cases, it's going to work better because it's just like a psychological trick. Even if it's more work, if it's more steps, logically, it wouldn't make sense. But as we already talked about, we as humans are not very logical. So this stuff is probably going to work better for you. Step number 2. So as you can see, this is where people enter their email. You see how big the offer is. So you've got 10 euros off, big, bold, in your face. I see what I'm getting, right? It's clear what you're getting. No first name, only email. So they're collecting only emails here. Also, you can see the X is not invisible, but it's top left corner where we talked about that. There are only 2 mistakes here. The copy below the headline is unnecessary. So this here is not really necessary. They can leave it. It's not a big mistake, but they could remove it. No need to do it, right? And then we have the CTA. So the CTA says continue. The problem with that, again, it's not one of those highest leverage things. It's a marginal thing, but it can make a difference, right? If it could add like 0.5% to your opt-in rate, it's a big thing because if you have like 50,000 people coming to your website every single month, and then you manage to increase your opt-in rate by 0.5%, that's an extra 250 people that you can get to your list. It's a big thing, right? Over a couple of years, it adds up. That's a lot of money. So don't neglect this simple stuff because it's simple to do, but simple to test, right? Like it's a quick test to run, but it can make a slight difference. So what's the problem with saying continue? When you say continue, it implies that there are more steps to be completed, which scares the customer away because it implies that there's more work to do, which people don't want to do. They came here to do shopping, not to do work, right? So instead, you should just put something like claim 10 euros off, like here. That I would use the same CTA in this step as well, honestly. Next step. This headline is pretty good. So finish signing up with text to activate your 10 euros off discount. Since it reminds people that they've committed to signing up and they shouldn't finish it, right? Finish signing up. You already started this. It would be a pity not to finish it, right? And it also implies that this is going to be the last step because it says finish signing up, activate your discount, right? So it also implies this is the last step. No more work for you. This is it. Just get this done and we're done. Now, all this little text here does ruin the aesthetics, I agree, but the problem is that you have to put it here for legal reasons. So also another thing to keep in mind, I would, in most cases, just keep this text. Actually, I'm going to show you that inside of Klaviyo. I'm not going to bore you with it right now. So the CTA is pretty good, pretty straightforward, activates 10 euros off. So all in all, pop-up is pretty good. I'd give it an 8 out of 10. So what they need to do is remove this and make this CTA better, and it will be a way better pop form, but overall, amazing pop form. Now, this is much more fancy, much more modern than the previous one, but the same rules apply. So as you can see, this is the micro commit step. Again, the same thing. I don't need to explain again what it is. I hope you understand now. The X is still there in the top right corner, but we also have the I'm not interested button below. So I'm not 100% sure, but there is a big chance that this X does not show up immediately. So when this pop-up pops up, right, it might be the case that this X is not there for a second or two. So that's what we do for some of our clients. We have like an X that shows up after like 1 or 2 seconds. So what you do is like you see the pop form, there is no X, and then you read the offer, and then after like a second or two, the X shows up, and then you can close it. But you have this button here as well. So that might be the case. I can guarantee it because I don't know, but it might be the case, okay? So also, next step, we have, again, super simple. We have only 3 things. Headline, with the offer, you got 10% off your first order. Input field, CTA. The same mistake, continue, not the best practice, but still pretty good pop form, pretty simple, pretty straightforward. Like this is what you're getting, this is what I need you to give me. That's it, right? And then we have this pop form. Now look at this. This is amazing. This is a great pop form. So first of all, I want to show you the whole thing. So I took this screenshot on my desktop. So I'm going to zoom in and show you actually step by step. So this is a new way of doing pop form. This is called a quiz style pop form. That's what we call it at least. So instead of just asking people if they want a discount or even presenting them with the offer right away, you actually ask them a real question. So this is again the micro commit step, but done it in a different way. This is like the next level of a micro commit step. So you can see here, you've got a mystery discount. To reveal it, tell us what do you struggle with the most: anxiety, stress, sleep, body ache. So this way, people actually feel like they earned the discount, right? It's not just about, oh, you come here and I give you the discount immediately. They feel like they earned it because they completed this quiz, right? Also, people feel like they're getting a more personalized solution because you're asking them something about the problems they have. They want to use what they want to use your product for, right? So they're going to get a better product recommendation, better customer experience based on this product. It doesn't have to be that way. You don't have to use this data for anything. This is just what the customer feels like, right? Now, you can make this kind of pop form inside of Klaviyo, but this is usually done using some other software. So, for example, we use AliAlert at my agency. So, if you want us to build a similar pop form for your brand, you can book a call with me. The second link in the description. We have an agency deal with them. That's why I'm offering this to you. So, you get it at a better price, right? Another thing you can notice with this pop-up is that they offer a mystery discount. So, the thing is, they just frame it that way. You don't have to change your code. You don't have to build some fancy backend where it gives you some random discount codes or whatever. This is literally just framed in a different way. So they literally just tell you you've got a mystery discount, but then they deliver the same 10% off or 15% off or whatever discount. So that's what you need to test out. Now, this is going to work better for discounts that are like 10% off, 15% off, maybe even 20% off. But if you have some sort of a big discount, like 40% off, some brands do that, it's not going to work better because customers kind of like don't expect such a big discount. That's what you need to play in. That's your USP. You're giving 50% off. For example, I don't know if you know brand Grunts. They have kind of like artificial prices and they offer 52% off on their platform. And literally on every single email, they give you like, hey, you can get this at 52% off. Kind of like marketing trick, right? So as I said, it depends on the kind of discount you're going to give, but still this is something you need to test. This is a pretty high leverage test, something you definitely need to test. We do it for most of our clients. It works really good. This is step number 2. Now you have another question. This is something you don't see very often with these kinds of platforms. You see just one question. These guys are doing 2. This is literally the first time I saw someone do 2. And you might be thinking like, there is no way this is actually working better than having a standard platform that is just like, give me your email and that's it, because that's too much work. Like it goes against the logic. But you can see they're actually asking another question. The thing is, as I said, we already talked about, they feel like they earned the discount. They feel like they're getting a personal solution. And it's also fun to do, right? It's a new thing. It has that novelty effect. And it's also like people are getting asked questions about themselves. And if you know anything about humans, they love talking about themselves, right? So that's why people actually want to complete these platforms. And they're also getting a mystery discount, which gives another way, like another angle, curiosity, all of that. So all in all, it has a lot of different angles and just makes people want to complete it. I'm pretty sure this platform is converting at least like 10%, but probably more like 15% or something like that. So this is the next step. Step number 3, so you can see the step follows all the best practices that we talked about in this video. Only the headline, unlock your mystery discount, big, bold, in your face. You can see how mystery discount is bigger than unlock your. It's bold. It's like, that's what we're talking about. That's the offer. That's the main thing. So we're making it stand out, but still you can read the whole thing without any issues, right? Then they're asking only for your email. They're not asking for your first name, for your last name, for your gender, anything like that. They're just asking for your email and then CTA. So it doesn't imply that there are more steps. They just say, reveal my discount. That's it. Because there are no more steps. They're not collecting SMS. They're not collecting phone numbers. So that's what their platform looks like. I would grade this platform literally 10 out of 10. This is an amazing platform. Now, that's it for this part of the video. We're going to talk about Klaviyo. We're going to go inside of Klaviyo. I'm going to show you how to create a platform. As I said, this document is going to be linked in the description. No need to give me your email. You can just go grab it and study it, whatever. But you can book a call with me, second link in the description, so we can perform a free Klaviyo account audit, and we can see if we can help you scale your brand on a purely performance basis. That means that you only pay on net revenue, which means there is literally no risk for you. So that's what I advise you do if you want some more help with email marketing. Now we're going to go inside of Klaviyo, and I'm going to show you exactly how to create a high converting platform. All right, so here we are inside of Klaviyo. So what I have here is a dummy account, so you can see nothing is connected, anything like that, but it'll be enough for me to show you how to create a platform. So we navigate here to sign up forms, right? And you go to create form. Now, you can pick a template, you can create a blank form. What I like to do is I like to go with this one, right? Because it's kind of like the most customizable. So we're going to name it, whatever, pop-up, desktop, free course. Let's name it that way. You choose the list, email list, so phone numbers. You're going to use your SMS list. If you're just starting out or something like that, you need to create your lists first. But for most of you guys, I guess you already have a list, so this shouldn't be an issue. You just connect to the right list. Make sure you're actually connecting to the right list, to the list you actually want to use, to the list where your welcome flow is connected to, and stuff like that. So you don't run into any issues. So you go create form, right? It's going to take some time to load. And we are here in the pop-up form builder. Wow, they changed this. I have not seen this. So you can edit the desktop and the mobile form separately. This is very cool. This is a new update, I guess. So that's very cool. Now, what we're going to do first is we're going to change this copy here. So we're going to go and say something like, you've got 10% off. Now, why do we say you've got 10% off instead of unlock 10% off or something like that? Well, I like saying you've got 10% off always because when I say you've got, that means like you already have it. And then if you don't enter your email, that means that you're going to lose it, right? And people are way more likely to do something to avoid loss than to do something to gain something, right? People are way more loss averse than they're kind of like attracted to gaining something. You're probably way more likely to go run a marathon to avoid losing $100 than to run a marathon to gain $100, right? That's kind of the idea. So you tell them that they already have it, and then if they don't want to lose it, they need to give you their email, right? That's the idea. So that's what we're going to say here. Then you can customize it based on your brand font. So let's go for Helvetica, for example, bold it. We can do that. We can make this bigger, for example, like we saw on the example with Fluid. Make this smaller, like that, so this pops more. Then we're going to remove this because it's unnecessary. You've got 10% off. We can do email. Then what we can do is add block image, add an image here so you can add your logo. So let's see what we have here already so we don't have to waste time finding some images. So we can do the North Face, right? Then you change your image here, right? upload, let's do the same thing for this. So we can use this one, right? And that's what you have. Now, what we talked about is never say continue, right? So what we're going to say instead is we're going to say claim 10% off, right? You can say that. Then we are going to change the font to Helvetica like that. We can make it bold. It's already bold, right? Okay, like that. And that's what we have. Now, obviously, this pop form is not going to convert very much because we're not following all the best practices. What you can do instead, what you need to do with this pop form is you need to continuously test it, right? You need to test your offer, you need to test your time delay, you need to test your CTA, you need to test all of your stuff. Now, still, this pop form, I'm not going to lie to you, is not going to convert at 10%, 15%, some crazy numbers. Those kind of opt-in rates is something you can get with quiz-style pop forms that we already talked about. That's why we use it for our clients. The reason I'm showing you how to create inside of Klaviyo like this is for the people who don't have a pop form or for people who are not really following all the best practices, they have some sort of an outdated pop form. I'm going to show you how to create some pretty good pop form. It's not going to be the best. As I said, for that, you need to use kind of like advanced softwares and stuff like that, such as what we use, how they learn, to help you create those quiz-style pop forms. They have like smart trigger, all the like fancy AI features, all of that stuff. That is going to help you get to those kind of like impressive opt-in rates, but this is just for you to start out, right? Then the next thing we already talked about is removing this X. So what you can do here is come here, make this transparent, right? So you can see the X, and then you're going to remove the background color, and boom, the X is gone. But you still need to give people a way to close the form, right? So what you're going to do is you're going to take this button, drag it down here, right? And it's going to say button text. We're going to say, no thanks, I'll pay at full price. You can say that. Then this, we are going to make it transparent, right? No, we're not going to make that transparent. We're going to make it like that. We're going to make this, first of all, black, and then we're going to make this transparent like that. And then we're going to make this transparent like that. So we have the button there, which is pretty good, right? Then the next thing, actually we have everything done here, but what we want here is another step. So we are going to, we're going to do it this way. We're going to clone this step, right? And this is going to be our micro commit step. So this is how you make a micro commit. Clone step, it's here. We're going to drag it to the first place. And you can see here, we have micro commit, email opt-in, SMS opt-in. Now, for the micro commits, what you want to do is just you want to remove this, right? You've got 10% off, claim 10% off. No thanks, I'll pay at full price. What you want to do is leave it like that. That is fine. And then we have this step. That is fine. That looks good. We could do like some padding here, down here, like 20, for example. That might look better. Let me see. Yeah, I like that. That's fine. Do that. And then we need to customize the SMS opt-in. So for the SMS opt-in, we're going to change this copy because this is absolutely terrible. It's not terrible. It's fine, but it's just like, this is better in my opinion. Finish signing up, ... This we're going to remove. We already talked about how we need to leave this here for the legal reasons. Now, I told you that I'm going to tell you something about this. What you want to do is, you can see how you can customize the position of this. What you want to do is, in most cases, is actually put it here, because there are some of those kind of like scumbags, honestly. What is called like ambulance chasing lawyers and stuff like that. Basically, the people who are there to kind of like find some stuff that is not 100% compliant with law and stuff in order, right? And they're going to sue you and get money out of you. So what they can do is they can come here and be like, yeah, like this was here. Like, yeah, you gave me like disclaimer and all of that stuff. But it was under the number, so I couldn't read it because I first had the option to enter my number and then to read it. And they can come and sue you for that, and you don't want those problems, so just put this here and you're going to be fine, right? Obviously, this is generated by Klaviyo automatically, so don't worry about this. It's not something you need to type up. You don't need to check it with lawyer or anything like that. You'll be fine. Ad blocks, so we're going to drag this image here to add our logo again. Boom. We're going to go here, find our image. So this is our logo, right? And then we're going to change this, replace image library. We're going to find our image here. Obviously, if you don't have images, just upload it. It's going to be super simple. Then we can make this button, put it down here and make it bigger. So we're going to make it full width. And instead of saying send, we're going to say claim 10% off, because I like that. We're going to change the font to Helvetica like that. Make it bold, right? We need to do this like that. Claim 10% off. Now, is it the same? It's not quite the same because the font size is not the same, right? We have 18 here, so we're going to make that 20. So the font size is the same on all the buttons. So what you want to do is kind of like change as few variables as possible, so you make the kind of like the whole experience as seamless as possible. Because if you have this, and then you change the photo here, and you change the copy, and you change the CTA color and stuff like that, the whole thing is going to seem new, and it's kind of like going to be overwhelming. It's going to add friction for no reason. So what you want to do instead is you just want to have, like, look at this. The only difference is I added the input field. The only difference here is kind of like the copy is different, and you're entering phone number. But the logo is there, the image is the same, the copy is the same, and it's kind of like the same thing, right? So that's what I would advise you do. Now, we forgot to change this, so we're going to say Helvetica, just like that. make it bold. We can make it like bigger, like 35, for example, like that. That is nice. And that's what it looks like, basically. As you can see, phone, boom, boom. And that is your pop-up. Now, what you can do is go to targeting and behavior and make this a desktop-only pop-up, right? This is what it looks like. Boom, boom, pretty good, right? Also, teaser, this is something you need to test. So you can say like claim 10% off. So what this does is when someone closes your pop-up form, they can still open it up again by clicking on this. So this is something you need to test. Obviously, this is probably going to increase your opt-in rate, right? But it might ruin your overall customer experience on the shop because it's kind of like there, it's in your face, it's annoying. I already closed the pop-up form. I already told you, made it clear that I don't want it. It might ruin your customer experience, but it might improve your opt-in rate. Up to you to decide. Can't really give you the exact judgment on that. But honestly, I still feel like it's worth it because it's not really going to be too big of an issue, right? But still, that's something you'll want to test. Anyway, what I wanted to say is, yeah, so you can make this targeting behavior, you can make this desktop only, and then go to your sign-up forms. Let me show you, like there. So this is one we're using. We're going to go and we're going to say clone, right? And this is going to be our mobile form. Mobile form, and we're going to delete this, and we're going to say continue, right? So we have our mobile form. So you can have two separate forms. That's what I advise you to do, because that way you can test different stuff on different forms, because it's not going to be the same, right? People on the mobile are going to have different preferences than people on desktop. So you can come here, targeting behavior, and make this mobile only, right? So it's going to be your mobile only. So you're going to run different tests. So for example, on mobile, you might find that 6-second time delay performs better than 4-second, and then it might be vice versa on desktop. So that's why I want to have two separate forms, because as I said, customer behavior is not going to be the same, because kind of like those are two different devices, two different environments people use, two different ways people use their device in. So it's kind of like you want those different differentiation and one different variables, right? So that's what I would advise you do. You have two separate forms, and then you start testing. How do you test? You go create A/B test, right? You name it, whatever, up to you. You can test like micro commit versus no micro commit. Super simple. And this is going to be your copy one. So this is going to be your pop-up for mobile. This is going to be micro commit, and this is going to be no micro commit. And you're going to delete this, and you're going to go create test. Now, when it loads up, let me show you. So you have this is going to be your micro commit. Then you come here. This is your no micro commit. So you delete this step, continue to test settings, right? You come here, publish A/B test. And now, obviously, because I don't have anything connected, right, I'm not going to be able to publish the test. But this is how you do it. That's all you need to do. Then, when the test is done, you're just going to finish it. You'll have the button here saying like finish test or something like that. And then you can start a new test. And you're just going to change the variables in the variation you want to change. So, for example, let's come back here. We want to change like time delay. So you can change it here. After time delay, 4 seconds, 6 seconds, 8 seconds, you're going to change that, right? Then the next thing, you have like you can kind of like trigger the form based on how much someone has scrolled. I kind of like advise you keep this off. When a visitor is exiting the page, so kind of like exit intent, you can keep this off as well, because this stuff can misfire. Up to you. Again, this is something you can test as well. After we've done all the highest leverage tests, like testing the form, testing the copy, testing the offer, testing the CTA, stuff like that. You can test stuff like this. It's going to help, right? But overall, at the beginning, I'd probably keep it off, because it can misfire, right? Exit intent and all that, and then it might get annoying to people. So I would probably keep it off. I would just test time delay, 4 seconds versus 6 versus 8 versus 10, and then versus 12. You're going to get the winner, and it should be fine. So that's what I advise you do for your pop-up form. That's how you create it. Super simple. No need to overcomplicate anything. Again, as some of the A/B tests you're going to run are going to be like, you got 10% off versus unlock 10% off. You test that, keep it running for some time. You get enough data. For example, like 2K people have seen each variation. Boom, done. You got enough data to conclude the test, and you're good to go, right? So that's for this video. Thanks for watching. As I said, this document is going to be linked in the description. First link in the description. You can just claim it. No need to give me your email or anything like that. And then second link in the description is going to be my calendar link. So you can book a call with me. I'm going to perform a full Klaviyo account audit completely for free for your brand. And then we can see if we can help you scale your brand on a purely performance basis. That means that you only pay a percentage of revenue we generate for you through email marketing. And there is literally no risk for you. So that's it for this video. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.